to. And we are going to have a discussion about what is happening in our world today. Our world is doing some weird, wonky, winkety wonky, wonk wonk things. Okay. Okay. You see my baby's dog. He's not here, so it's gonna be a little quiet. But our world is doing some winkety wonkety wonk wonk things. And it seems like the world is completely turned upside down on its head, and we don't know why. What's up, Jody Page? How you doing? And we're here on TikTok, and we're also on YouTube right now. And that was interesting. We're here on TikTok, and we're also on YouTube at this very moment because we are about to do the conversion between the two. Since we know that TikTok may not be here in about a little over 8 days, we're gonna just go and make that flip, make that flop, and make that happen. There's a lot of things that are happening. I'm out here on the West Coast. I am not affected by the fires, but I do have family members and friends that have been affected by the fires. And I just found out today that our president-elect, yet again, is supposed to be convicted today. Yeah, but he's still going to be the president. So I have so many wonderful and optimistic things to say that I really don't know. First of all, I don't know if I'm connected. Am I connected? Can y'all hear me? I know YouTube, y'all can hear me, but TikTok, can y'all hear me? It's a lot. Welcome in, Ro. Welcome back. It's a lot. Can you guys let me know if you guys can hear me, please? I mean, because TikTok, I don't know. Well, I'm assuming because TikTok is bringing in people. And now that you guys can see my face, that y'all can hear me. Welcome in, everyone. Put in where you're from. Hey, Paul. Put in where you're from. We are live on both TikTok and YouTube. On TikTok, we're just keeping the flow going on TikTok so we can get things together and connect it, and so people can know where to find us. We normally do on Saturdays. We normally do our Soul Tribe Saturday. And today has been just a little off day. Like, even for me, I wanted to take a moment, take some rest, and just kind of chill a little bit. So me being here, I'm tired. As you can see, the kiddo is not here, so I have a little bit more freedom, which is awesome. And so we can just have a real conversation. The thing that is really concerning to me, as I eat this amazing cantaloupe, the thing that's really concerning to me is how our current events and what we're seeing, the dynamics of things, are a small recap of what we have always known to be, where it is now considered to be a generational thing. And it's a generational genetic thing that is happening. The United States of America is playing another space, right? We and this has been the topic of discussion in my atmosphere, in my community, my personal community, that we have a person who's about to be the president of the United States, and his conviction is today. But where is he? Where is he for these 34 convictions, right? And then we also have to look at the fact that even though today is his day of conviction, we also have to look at what's happening in California and how these homes and homes that have been around for generations, where some of the most affluent Black people have lived in these specific areas that people aren't really talking about, have been affected, and they have lost their homes. They were the ones who broke against the ideas of what has been put into the mind of people when it comes down to history. Now, for those who are coming in, welcome in so much. Thank you guys for coming through and hanging out with me. And for those who don't know who I am, especially thank you so much for the likes on YouTube. Greatly appreciate it. For those who don't know who I am, my name is NaKeesha, and I am your belief worker. And basically what I do is I help people with their belief systems. And it has absolutely nothing to do with religion. No religion in any way, shape, or form. I'm not that person. It has everything to do with the systems in which we were created, right? The systems in which we were created into. There are four belief systems that I talk about. One is your core belief. Your core belief is what you choose to believe. This represents about 12% of your overall mind, your overall mindset, right? Then you have 88% of your subconscious mind. So basically, many of us are walking on 12%. We are only working on 12% of our overall mind. As we are going through our lives, the things that we declare and the things that we decree and the things that we call into our existence is only operational on 12% of our mind. Everything else is what has been given to us subconsciously from our family, which is the second belief, which is your genetic belief. Your genetic belief is the traditions and the belief systems that have been passed on from your family. So basically, when you are watching your family members do whatever it is that they do, as far as living, as far as their mannerisms, how they love each other, how they interact with each other, all of those things were given to you during the developmental stage of your life. And that is something that you really cannot change, kind of. That's why I'm here. I'll share with you guys a little bit about that a little bit later. But that's the second part of the 88% of your mind that is being like in a loop. Then you have your historical belief. Your historical beliefs are the belief systems that were created during different historical parts of the time that your family has been here. And it spans about 6 generations, 5 to 6 generations, right? Which represents roughly about 62 people that are locked inside of your DNA. And these 62 the people are the very people that help to create you, who you are. Thank you so much for the likes on TikTok. Greatly appreciate it, right? So this is what's happening right now. And then we have your soul's belief. And we talk about your soul belief. We talked about that this morning. That was the very first thing that we talked about this morning, right? On YouTube. Yeah, we were on YouTube this morning. So what I want to focus on is the historical beliefs, because those historical belief patterns are the very things that we are looking at today. At this very moment in real time, we are looking at the historical belief patterns. And what we can do, what we can deduce is, out of those people that believe, or out of those people, those 62 people that are locked inside of our DNA, right? And it spans about 5 to 6 generations back. That roughly puts us about 1850. That's the beginning line of who you are today. The beginning line of your 62 people, right? That make up who you are. And during this time, we can deduce all of the different things that has happened since 1850s. We had the massacres that happened when it came down to Tulsa, Oklahoma. That happened around the 1900s, 1920s, late 1800s, 1920s, all the way up to 1920. It was about 30 years of freedom. 30 years of freedom that Black people were reigning, and Black people that were former slaves had the ability to be free, and they had the ability, hey buddy, they had the ability to be exactly who they were created to be. That's what happened. And during this time, these Black people were able to create homes and house themselves and buy for themselves. This is when you have the Black Wall Street. This is when all of these things are happening during this time. The Reconstruction era of the United States of America. And as this is happening, all of these people are now expanding, and they are growing, and they are developing, and they are creating from each other. This is what happened in history, right? Now, let's bring this to now. Let's bring this to today. Now we have TikTok. TikTok has been our little community hub that has been our connection to each other worldwide. This is not a black and white thing. In the United States of America, it kind of is. But now, and it has been since 1850, but now because of the structures and the laws that have been put into place, as we see it today, these laws and structures that were created because of slavery, created because of racism, We have a racist system. It is now affecting everyone, which forces everyone who's not rich, right? And when I say rich, I'm referring to the 1%. But everyone who is not rich, right? They are now in a position where everybody's the same, where it forces us to realize that. What's happening at this very moment? We have the TikTok ban. That's one. The place where most people, or a lot of people, over 170 million people who are on this app, roughly. This has been their way of making money. This has been their way of ensuring that they have all the tools they need in order to prosper. This has been the way that they have been employing other people. This has been their way of sharing knowledge and allowing people to be set free. And this is a real reality check of what Black Wall Street looked like. And if you're not familiar with Black Wall Street, it's the place where, like I said earlier, a bunch of Black people who were former slaves got together, created cities across the United States of America. A lot of people like to hone in Black Wall Street as just the spot where Tulsa, Oklahoma was. The massacre that happened there. But the reality is that Black Wall Street was in Georgia, and then what ended up happening to, I think it was Oscarville, Georgia, is they ended up flooding out this city. Black-owned, prosperous city. They flooded it out because they didn't like the fact that these Black people were really doing something, that they were really changing each other. They were changing each other's lives. In New York City, where Central Park is, that was bulldozed out from the prosperous Black people that were very prosperous in that time, in that era of time. And now it is now Central Park. And so we see, and then you have the Tulsa massacre, right, where the whole entire city was completely burned down to the ground. Sounds familiar? Does this sound familiar? We're looking at California as the city, one of the most prosperous cities in America. And what they're not doing is they are not putting in the fact that we have this Black-owned city that has been there for generations. That is now burned to the ground. And it just seems like history keeps repeating itself, because we also have to look at Hurricane Katrina. I was a part of that, inadvertently. Kind of like where I'm at right now. When Hurricane Katrina happened, I was in Dallas, Texas. When this fire is happening, I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm right next door. And because I'm so close to the situation yet far away, I can still hear what is really happening in these areas. When it came down to Hurricane Katrina, the levees were broken for these Black areas, these Black communities. The levees were broken. The locals in the locals in that area were stating, we heard a huge bang during Hurricane Katrina. The levees were broken. Allegedly. Because I gotta say allegedly. Right? And then we have to look at what's happening in California, right? This whole entire city that has had generations upon generations that broke past the red line. The idea of redlining, and if you don't know what redlining is a racial stigma that was placed on housing in the housing market. In the housing market, this is what created the suburbs and the urban areas. This is what forced many of our families. If you're Black, right? Again, this is for everybody. This is history in the making, and this is history that's not and has not been told to the masses, right? So you have this happening in this area, and you have these the red line, and redlining pretty much says that if they are black, it's discrimination. If they are black, and black doesn't just mean just black people. Black means everybody who's not white, right? If they look black, sound black, act black, you don't want them in your community. And so it was a forced way out. It was a place where people were forced to get out of that space, where it was the ultimate keep away because you don't belong here. And when it comes down to the city in Cali, and I the name escapes me right now, but let me look it up. Hold on. Let me look it up. Let me fix my YouTube. So, well, that's still there. Okay. City, Black City in Cali that's burned to the ground. Not Tulsa. Yeah, the first thing they pull up is Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's the first city they pull up in Cali today. Because I've watched this. It's not the Palisades. Oh, what is the name of that dang old city? Is it the Palisades? Palisades and Eaton. I think that is about right. I'm looking it up, y'all, because I don't want to be here. But I'm not a news person. I read it just to be in the know, but I don't read it to know. But I know it's good to know. I don't think that's it. It might be the Palisades. Palisades, Sunset. I don't think I'm right. Sunset being burned. Sunset Boulevard? The infamous Sunset Boulevard in Cali. That's LA. LA, gone. Saliano. Gosh, I wish I knew that. I see it all across my feed. I've been looking at it. This is bothering me. Hold on, y'all. Ah! There it is. Altadena. That's the name. Ugh. So, I want to make sure I get this right. Thank you for rocking with me, y'all. So we got Altadena out there in California, and Altadena is the famous. That's the name of it. That's the famous city that has had. And you guys may see it in circulation. There's this 85-year-old man who has lived in Altadena for the longest time in California. He has lived there for generations. He's 85 years old and he lost everything. You have another person in the same position, right? Now, the alleged rumor that has happened about Altadena is this, that these fires were purposely, and I don't know if I'm saying it too soon, but I'm going to say what I'm going to say regardless. Allegedly, these fires, allegedly, were purposely put into place to burn down these cities. The rumor has it is that these fires were specifically for Altadena, And that's the black city that was very prosperous out there in California and has been prosperous for decades. They beat the system of redlining, right? That is now gone. And what ended up happening is because, hey, lady, hey, how you doing? Ash Kule, is it Ashley? Girl, I get it wrong every time. Ash Ink Ashinkale. I remember. Hey, boo. How are you? So, um, when we think about these things that is happening, and we're Ash Inkale, I get it. I get it. When we think about these things that are happening in this environment, knowing that these people beat the odds, the fire was put into. I'm good, baby. The fire was put into action. And what ended up happening is the wind blew, and it not only took down the black homes, it took down the white homes too. And it's been spreading. And it makes you think about the watermelon country, right? The reason why we had so many things that were going on in the watermelon country is because the overall objective was because of the land. Mm-hmm. We're correlating Cali with TikTok ban, and today's the day that our president-elect is supposed to be convicted of his 34 counts of felonies. And how all of this ties into where we are today. How all of this is a reflection that all of us, for the most part, are still living in this loop. And really, honestly, it's really up to us to break this loop. So it doesn't have to be the very thing that our children and our children's children have to deal with. So I'm talking about, right, wow. Girl, yes, wow. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense. It makes sense. Girl, yes, cantaloupe, baby. And it's good and sweet, too. You know I'm always snacking. Hot mess. I'm a country girl. And I'm a suburban kid, but I got country ways. Living in a big old city with my country ways. But thank you. But all of these things are happening right in front of us. You got Altadena. And then, let's just bring it in. Let's bring it in even more. Now the insurance companies, and it's not funny. It's funny. It's funny. Not funny. Ha, right? You got the insurance companies that have completely pulled out, and they are refusing to pay people for the insurance that they have been paying into these insurance companies for years. And these people can't cash in on their insurance policies. These people cannot cash in on their insurance policies. Because the insurance companies are now saying that no, we don't cover fires. Excuse you? Excuse you? I have been building my escrow all this time, and you want to tell me that you're not going to pay me out for losing everything, and now I am stuck and broke? Like broke. broke because y'all don't want to pay. And you wonder why Mario's brother has been out here doing what Mario brothers do. But in the same breath, our United States of America, shameful, shameful. And yet, in the same breath, our United States of America wants to put us in this box where we can't express ourselves. Hence the reason why we're possibly not going to have TikTok anymore. Put us in this box and tell us not to go crazy and tell us not to panic. What? Not only has this been a complete, this whole thing has been this whole thing has been out of control, honestly. Because the way that our system works, again, like I was talking about, the dynamics of our system was created for Black people to fail. It was literally created for Black people to fail. It did not take into consideration all of the other ethnicity groups, even though if you are not white, you would still be considered Black.
So going into the experience, I did not know what to expect. I knew that I would be receiving a theta healing session, but I really didn't know what to expect. I had some idea of what would happen. I knew that she would be doing work with my ancestors, but I had no idea of how accurate she would be describing my ancestors to the point I could reflect on my memories of them and know exactly who she was referring to. And knowing that she did not know my ancestors, so she could not have been feeding me information that she knew before. So that just blew my mind. During the session, I was able to pinpoint, she was able to help me to pinpoint specific issues that were causing me issues in my growth, my personal, my spiritual, and my business growth that I didn't even realize were issues until we started to do the work. And afterward, I feel so much better. I feel like I can move forward because these issues have been identified as well as addressed. So I'm just excited, and I would recommend anyone who is drawn to get a session because there's no way that you're not going to benefit in some way as a result.
If you are not white, you were Black, right? And the reality is, didn't matter when the laws were created. The laws was created in order to keep Black people and white people separate. And now those laws now are getting completely blurred because Black people are not the only people that are fighting for their own identity here in this land. And this land is not just a black and white. It's not a black and white situation. This land is fully encompassing of all people. And now, because nobody, and I'm gonna say it, because nobody wanted to fight for the justice of Black people throughout the country, throughout the history of our land. Nobody wanted to fight for the justice of Black people. We are all now in this predicament collectively. We are all now seeing life as it is from Black people's point of view, in a sense, when it comes down to the system. Let's now dive into the fact that our new former elected president is now about to be the president of the United States, and he did not go to his conviction hearing. Didn't matter. The system even affects our newly elected president. But the thing that makes him different from everybody else is the fact that he has money, or he has adjacency to money. He's shaking hands with the good old boys. Therefore, he is able to completely avert his responsibility as an American citizen that many of us had to have faced when we create or commit a crime. Felons cannot even vote. Their rights are revoked when they want to choose to vote. They cannot go to the voting polls. However, we find ourselves with a president who is a convicted 34 count convicted felon who had the opportunity to vote for himself. This takes us back to the historical development of what happened during the Jim Crow era when we talk about the Amendment 13 and Amendment 14, when these things came into place and these things were developed in order to keep black people slaves. That is why we have Amendment 13, because the goal was to keep black people in slavery, to keep black people working and ensuring that these people who had these large plantations still had labor for free. And now we have a president who is an oxymoron representative of the very thing that was created from his father, who used to be a part of the America. Like, I don't understand, like, and I'm going to go on my rant because I can. It's my page and I do whatever I want. I'm grown. I don't understand how we can blatantly look in the face of a person who is automatically all assuming, because we know that the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. We understand that we know that this man's father was a part of the Americas. And yet, when we vote for him, we question whether or not he has any type of representation or understanding of the black or any other minority group, any other minority group here in the United States of America. It's shameful to know that I have people personally who voted for this man. In my opinion, and I'm going to say it, it's shameful. Because we all understand that the apple does not fall too far from the tree. We get that. We know that. The saying is real. But in the same breath, I also understand that this is a cycle, because many people don't understand that when you choose not to fix those traumatic experiences that has happened in your family's life and in your life, and that you see there is an uncomfortable and an innate pattern that you have not addressed in your mind, then you are not free. You are not free in the mind. You are not free. And therefore, you're forcing yourself to continue to work and to operate on 12%. Therefore, not allowing yourself to be in the optimal position to actually utilize your power of free will. We see these things happening. We see them happening in our lives, and it's putting us back in a position where our ancestors used to be when they were raising us, and our grandparents and our great-grandparents and all of these people who are part of our lives. We are looking at history repeating itself, and we constantly are seeing it square in the face. We are voting the way that people want us to vote subconsciously, because we are thinking at one point in time, at some point in time, someone's going to save us, someone's going to rectify it, someone's going to make it better, but it cannot be us. And no matter who's in office in these next, 8 days left, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you still have power over yourself and power over the people around you. Many countries say they're not allowing 47 felons into their country. They're not. And he owes so many people here in the United States. He owes states in the United States. This man owes people money. And they won't even allow him to to step off the tar pit, yet he's the United States of American country. He is the president, and he's not even allowed in a lot of his own states in the United States of America. When I see him as president, I see him as a reflection of America still acting out on its own personal trauma. Our formerly, and I don't even want to claim him. He's a perfect example. It couldn't have been called Kamala. It could not be her. It couldn't have been her, because the reality is we're not there yet. We aren't. We're not there to be in a position to accept that change is here. No matter how many other people come together and say, oh my gosh, we need to vote for this person because they represent the United States of America as it is today. No, we want to be stuck. That's what our votes show, that we really want to be stuck. And what has happened, and not all of us, majority of us still want to be stuck. I mean, the slogan is "Make America Great Again." And yet I still pose the question, for who? For who was America great for? For whom? We have to look at the fact that many of these people during the election time and prior to the election, when they were talking about Kamala herself, we have to look at the fact that they were pulling out laws from 1850. They were pulling out laws from 1850 to validate the fact that she could not be in the seat to be elected president. They were pulling out laws from 1850. That 1850 is the same amount of time of all of us being here, roughly. The genetic makeup of who we are today starts at 1850. Hey, Regina. Oh, you changed your outlook. Hey, boo. It starts from 1850. Y'all can't tell me, can't nobody tell me that we're not living in the cycle. How are you going to pull out a law from the 1800s to validate the fact that she's a black woman, but because of this law in the 1800s that shows that she's only 3/5 of a human being, according to our Constitution, that is still in our Constitution, that every 7 years these senators have to vote whether or not the black people can stay free. A lot of people don't know that. Every 7 years, Congress has to go through a vote to ensure that black people can stay free, because we're still considered 3/5 of a human according to the constitutional law. Who beat the odds when they became the president of the United States? Obama. Because he's not considered a real human being. He's not, according to our Constitution. I don't get it. And so they're pulling out these laws that happened in the 1850s to validate who they are. These same laws are the very times when America was so-called great. 1850s is when you had slavery. It was towards the end of slavery. It'll give it another 30 years, and then slavery was completely abolished-ish. Right? This is also during the time when you had these laws that were created. And what was his name? Because I talked about it once before on my page. When it comes down to the man who created the healthcare system. And he deemed that Hoffman, he deemed that at some point in time, if we can completely not provide these black people health care, we shouldn't have universal health care. And the reason why we shouldn't have it is because we got too many black people here. We shouldn't have universal health care. And the reason why we shouldn't have it is because we got too many black people here. This is our history. This is the United States of America. It's our history. And so many people want to take a blind eye to it and be like, oh, no, that doesn't affect me. No, it does. It affects you. And that's the reason why we are here today, because so many of us have been like, no, that doesn't affect. No. You want to keep sweeping it under the rug. That's all. That's the reality of it. You just want to keep sweeping it under the rug. And sweeping it under the rug is not going to make anything better. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. What you're doing, because you are not peeling the scab away and looking at it and looking at the wound that is infected, and not taking the antibiotic by looking at it, right? All you're doing is putting your whole entire family for generations down on this constant loop that doesn't make any sense, because you want to overt it and then cry wolf when it actually affects you. Like the people who are adjacent to that city. Good night, I just saw it. Jesus, why can't I remember that city? Yes, Altadena. That's what it is. Or the people that were not a part of, I think it was the fifth ward. I think it was the fifth ward or third ward in Louisiana when the levees broke. I'm sorry, in Louisiana when the levees were allegedly broken with the explosions heard in the middle of the night, and a vast flood came, and nobody came to help these people for weeks, laid out there to suffer. By choice. It infuriates me because we can do better. It infuriates me because we know that we can do better. It infuriates me because the reality is we all have the power to look at these situations and pluck it out at the root without me. It sets me on edge because we as adults and the adults before us won't take in full accountability. We have many who have fought, but we also have many who have laid docile. And this is unanimously. Like, I'm still tripping at the fact that, you know, we have people from all the way around the world. We have the people who were fighting against martial law out there in Asia and overthrowing their president that they had. Overthrew him. They weren't having it. Right? Then we also had many other people, the people out there in France, when their government was not doing what they were supposed to do to ensure their own safety. They burned their city to the ground. They forced their elected officials to swim in the river that was filled with chemicals and feces for the Olympics. They took a stand. And am I using my voice? Yes. Am I using my voice as my form of taking a stand? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's ridiculous for us to sit here and lay docile when we have so many things being ripped right in front of us and taken away from us right now. Like, literally taken away from us. Our freedom of speech is at question. Our freedom of speech is at hand when it comes down to TikTok. That is our First Amendment. And we've been so conditioned here in the United States of America not to fight against the very things that has been taken from us. We have been conditioned here in the United States of America to just be. And to just roll over. Oh, we'll let somebody else take care of it. Until we are suffocating ourselves. Literally. And don't get me wrong, TikTok is not the best for people who look like me. It's just not. It's underlined. It's an AI generated algorithm that does not favor people who look like me. It just doesn't. And we have to go hand over foot in order for us to be accepted, even here on this app. And then we also have to worry about where we're going to go after TikTok is over with. If we go to Meta, we already understand that Meta, and this is all correlation, this is all tying in. We understand that Meta universally has refrained from using the DEI construction within their unit, within their company. They have completely taken that out of their system. So if you don't think of diversity, inclusion, diversity, equity, and inclusion as part of your general makeup of who you are as a country, as a company, why am I there? Why would I even consider going back to Meta? For what? I'm not accepted there. TikTok is borderline. I don't know if I'm fully accepted. I know I'm not fully accepted, but I know that I can talk on here and it'll eventually show me with other people, maybe people that are not black. Maybe, I don't know. Right? And for those who are just coming in and those who are listening on our podcast, I am pro-black. I'm pro-black. I'm a black woman here in America. And I know my black experience is a black experience. But it does not take away from the fact that I absolutely love everybody. I'm a military brat. I am a military brat. Hey, Tina Marie. And I have been exposed to everyone. I've been exposed to Filipinos, Koreans, Japanese, and I love their culture, Mexican, Colombians. I've been exposed to everyone, and I love everyone. But I also understand how our systems work here in the United States of America. And I understand that our systems that were created in order for us to keep us separated. I am a Burger King brat. Okay. I understand how the systems here in America have affected all of us as a whole. And it's still affecting all of us as a whole. And we are allowing it to happen. And we have been allowing it to happen for generations. Because we don't want to take a stance. What we have done and what has been done is the same thing that was done during the time of that Reconstruction era of time that we were all talking about a little bit earlier, when it came down to the makeup of the United States of America. And during that Reconstruction phase, the black people that were slaves were now free. What ended up happening is that these people, these former slave owners that eventually became the lawmakers, came together and realized at the end of the day that they were not happy at the fact that these black people, these now their former slaves, are now profitable. They had money now. They were making money now. And what they ended up doing was they found ways to kind of get that money back. And the crazy thing is, that's what we're looking at right now today. And one of the laws that they did, and one of the laws that they created in order for black people to no longer have this power and this constraint, is you have the Jim Crow laws. That's the first law that was put into place. And then in order for them to ensure that their laws were effective, the most primitive time of this era was between 1960 and 1965, when all of the laws that had to be reconstructed in order to keep these people contained were enacted. And that was also during the time where the poll tax was created in order to stop black people from going to vote. They understood that this poll tax that was created just for black people, they understood that this poll tax will prevent black people from voting for themselves. So they know that black people are going to come out and vote for themselves. But in order for them to stop them from voting for themselves, what they needed to do was to put in some type of barrier that would stop them so they didn't vote for themselves, in order for the people who own the land, the people who work the land, the people who were the owners of this here United States of America, and I say that in quotes, for the people who are the owners of the United States of America to change the laws to ensure that they maintain their power. And this is what we are looking at even today. But the thing that makes this so different from during that time, the reality of those things that make that different from this time, is the fact that it's no longer just black people. These rules that were put into place are no longer for black people, so those things have to be completely reconstructed in order for not just black people to feel the same problems that was already created here in the United States, but for everybody who is not a part of the top 1% to feel that same constraint. In order for those people who are a part of the 1% to maintain their power. Those 1%ers have no recollection of what is happening in the common United States of America's lifestyle. If they did, they would know how to lower and how to vote according to what the United States as a whole have been screaming out for the longest time, to lower the dang on rent. What they have been screaming out for the longest, to lower the prices. What's up, Dream? Hey, D-Works. To lower the prices of food. The things that we require to survive. And yet the prices keep going up. And it makes you question where Congress said. Because if Congress is not hearing us, who's going to hear us? Who's going to hear the people? The people who voted you in. No, you guys are controlled by the lobbyists. The lobbyists did, and I know this for certain because this is what happened out here in Las Vegas. Many of people have lost their homes out here in Las Vegas. We are completely there. Our homeless population has increased by almost 300%. How the heck? I disagree. I feel they know exactly what's going on. Girl, I'm being facetious. I am being 1000% facetious. Ignorance is bliss, and people want to stay in that blissful state until it starts to slap them in the face. Sarcastic. Not fully truthful. Jesus. Oxymoronic. I don't know. Hey, Kendra. Good evening. You got it. No problem, Tina. People are choosing to be completely in a state of bliss because they feel that bliss will keep them safe. And being in this complete state of bliss, what ends up happening is you are putting yourself in a situation mentally that your subconscious mind is now taking over. All elements of your subconscious mind are now in full function. And that 12% that you have riding for you, that freedom of free will, you have now put that turnkey off. You turned it off. You said, no, I don't need the 12%. No, I'm good. That 12%, I don't want it to work for me. I'm going to just let my subconscious beliefs work on my behalf. I'm going to let my genetic beliefs work on my behalf, meaning that I'm going to allow the thoughts and the patterns of my family to work on my behalf. I don't want to work. The 12% does not want to do anything, so it goes into autopilot. Then you have your historical beliefs, those things that has happened out history, and you'll sit there and sit back and say, oh, well, my grandmother had to do that. Ain't nothing gonna change no way. It don't matter. Or my grandparents had to deal with that same situation. I'm sitting here looking at this same situation, and I'm not going to do anything about it because it doesn't matter. That's not my problem. It's the same system that I've been born into, and it's going to be the same system that I'm going to die in. Shame on you. I'm so sorry. No, I'm not. I am sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for coming out as bluntly as possible. I normally am very chill and cool, but I'm very disheartened. Yeah. I'm very disheartened because we are adults and we refuse to look at the situation that has been plaguing us for so long, not understanding. I am not apologizing. I take it back. Because we have so much power and we are refusing to use it because it's too hard. We have the power of 62 people locked inside of our DNA. On top of the fact that we have past soul lives that are locked within ourselves, within our subconscious beliefs and our subconscious mind that helps to create who we are. We are walking miracles, and yet none of us, or a lot of us, want to keep our mouth shut because we want to continue to live in this land of bliss that does not exist. Utopia does not exist. Nobody's going to come to save us but ourselves. That's just what it is. No one's going to save you but you. It could exist if you did the work. Your utopic, your place of abundance, it lies within you. But if you refuse to do the work, at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you this from what I know, because normally I have my death doula right here. Normally I have my death doula right here to reaffirm the things that she knows, and we collect together, and we've never met physically. And she will tell you that because you guys, you, not you per se, but the people that are listening, because you chose not to accept the fact that you're healing or healing your own trauma or looking at your own situation and looking at the things that you keep sweeping underneath the rug, because you are choosing not to deal with it, guess what? At the end of the day, before you leave this life, it's going to slap you in the face. And when you're supposed to have a peaceful going home, when you're supposed to have a peaceful layout, when you are supposed to transition peacefully, what ends up happening is you have the roughest time. You start having problems with your heart because your heart is going to keep going. It's going to want to keep going in order to fix the situation that it should have fixed in this lifetime. And what ends up happening when this happens is when you pass on, what you do is you carry on this new belief unto your new life, unto your new soul. Because you didn't take out the time to fix it. Gosh. You wanted to avoid it. And basically all you're doing is telling your soul that you want to come back to this earth to fix it again. When it's time for you to go away, you're saying, hey, I'm out. You want to say, hey, I'm out. I'm done with this lesson. I don't want to come back like this no more. But instead, because you choose not to, it's a choice, because you are choosing not to heal, because you are choosing not to address these traumatic issues. You are not just leaving the world a worse place. You're not just leaving your legacy in a worse place. You're also allowing yourself to be transitioned in a horrible phase where you're not at peace when it's time for you to go, and you're also sentencing yourself to come back to relive the same situation over again until you get it right. You're willfully putting yourself in a position where you are going to come back and do the same thing over and over and over again. You have now condemned yourself to it's your own cycle, your own cycle. That's what you did with your free will. You've lived this life several times, Tina. Not the same life, but you've lived this life several times before. All of us have. Many of us have. That's my rant. I'm frustrated, and it's not. I'm frustrated because I hate seeing people in pain and agony. I'm a Virgo. I'm in my Virgo ways. I'm in my full healings, my full healing era, right? But I can't help anybody heal if they don't want it. If you don't want it, I can't help you. I'm not gonna waste my time. I'm not, and I don't mean to sound arrogant in any way, shape, or form. It's just the reality is, if you're not willing to look at the situation, you can't expect someone to assist you in your release of certain things. Right? And I apologize. Now, I do apologize for being fully in a rant. I'm just very passionate about what I do. Thank you. I'm very, very passionate at what I do. Very passionate. And so this brings me to the fact of what I do. I am your belief worker, as I said before, and what I do is that I help people with their genetic belief systems that they have carried within their lives. I help you release those things that have been holding you back and to allow you to be in a position where your whole subconscious mind is completely white, completely free. Thank you, boo. Where you have a full, complete mental slate clean. And what I end up doing is, in this practice, what I do, I am a certified theta healer practitioner. I call myself a belief worker because it makes it a little bit more digestible for people to understand. But what I do is I help people release those belief systems that have been holding them back in the subconscious part of their minds, those genetic traditions where you are waking up, where you are in a position where you are positioning yourself to be awoke. And you can utilize your free will at 100% optimization without having those same strings that have been holding your family back and holding your ancestors back for generations long. I help you release those things completely. Those same belief systems that are holding you back, that is locked in your subconscious, that was created and given to you by your ancestors, are sometimes the very things that create the diseases that you find within you and or your family members. The big zodiac sign, C, Cancer, Alzheimer's, the 3-letter one, the sugars, IBS,